Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 7th day of February in the year 2022. Sure hope you're enjoying your Monday, no matter where it is you are in the country, and as you do. Every Monday night, you welcome me into your home so that I might go over this current week's edition of The Observer. This week's front and main story is a sad one. This is a picture you can see on the front page of Jerry Tulvey. He is a man who spent his entire life in Nutley, but if you ever attended restaurants like Lasoni in North Arlington and Bucco in Bloomfield and Clifton and various other places in the Nutley, Belleville area too, you may have heard Jerry sing. And I had a chance to profile him last summer in June. Unfortunately, the time that I interviewed him, he had sung the national anthem at Yankee Stadium just a week earlier. And a few months before that, he was given the terminal diagnosis of ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. And last week, Jerry succumbed to that hideous disease at the age of 61. Way too young. Way too young. But you know how when you meet people, sometimes you hear something bad said about somebody. I couldn't find anybody who had a bad thing to say about Jerry. And I'll tell you what, when I had a chance to interview him 9 months ago or so, I met somebody who was just so full of life and who did not fear death. He had a very, very strong faith and belief in Jesus, and he felt that he wasn't going to take any of that out on anybody. When he got the diagnosis, he was grateful to have lived the life he did, and so many people's lives did he impact. So I hope you'll take a chance and read about Jerry, who has gone way too young at the age of 61 from ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. A very, very special human being, gone too soon. On the bottom of the front page this week, my colleague Ron Lear has a story about the new business administrator in East Newark. His name is Robert Dowd, and he is the former police chief of the North Bergen Police Department, and he's also a commissioner on the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority. And he actually granted an interview to Ron, and he just seems like an awesome guy. I'm really looking forward to hopefully working with him. And he is a very, very multifaceted human being, a very, very talented guy, and a great hire over in East Newark to be the new business administrator. And I think you're really going to like him. I really do. So Ron profiles him, talks a little bit about his history and what he's looking forward to doing in the borough of East Newark as he gets his feet wet and starts his tenure as borough administrator. Read that on page number 1 this week. As we move to the inside, Ron has another story about retail space on Lewandowski Street that is going to be converted into a daycare center. So that is certainly good news if you're looking for new daycare and you don't have daycare right now. There will be more in Lyndhurst coming soon. Kearney will likely adopt an ordinance tomorrow night that will strengthen its regulations on porta-johns. And I think this came about because residents were complaining that on too many construction sites, these things were in the way. They weren't being cleaned. They weren't being emptied. The stench was awful. It's not like, like people in Kearney, of course, are not used to bad smells, but this was really getting out of control. And so the town of Kearney has created an ordinance up for second reading and adoption tomorrow night at its council meeting. And with luck, you will no longer see these porta-johns just thrown just about anywhere on construction sites. So check it out on page number 3. Tim Wagner has this week's Kearney Police Blotter, and in it, an entry about a gentleman who was ticked off that his quote-unquote fat-ass roommate was eating too much ice cream. And, of course, he got a metal pipe because this guy was eating so much ice cream and swung it at him. So check that entry out, among others, in this week's Kearney Police Blotter. They've been getting stranger and stranger by the week, I'll tell you that. But Tim finds the good ones to share with you. The Lyndhurst Police Department last week, had a couple of very, very strong arrests, some drug-related, and some weapons taken off the street. In one of the cases, the guy was arrested for having brass knuckles after he admitted he knew the guy the police were talking to, who had just himself been arrested. Probably would have been better if he had kept his mouth closed. So check that out on page number 5. Thank you to Vinny O'Teary for the blotter. There are a whole bunch of entries this week. I'm glad I finally got to be able to get to some of them from local colleges and universities. And there are students who got degrees, made the dean's list or the provost list. In one case, a young man had a 4.0 perfect GPA at his college. So if you got a kid who is in college and they made the dean's list, take a look at page number 7 this week. You may see your child's name in the newspaper. Now, there are plenty of others. We weren't able to get to every single one of them, but we certainly will as soon as we possibly can. Jim Haig has a bunch of stuff this week, including a story about the Kearney High School girls bowling team. So I hope you'll check that out. And he's also got some profiles and things of that nature as well, and an athlete of the week. We won't tell you who that is because we want you to pick up the paper and check that out for yourself. We also have the usual amount of classified this week, including a full-page opportunity for the Seekit Company. They're hiring, and they have a full page looking to grow their team. So if you're looking for work, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to be found in this week's edition of The Observer. Now, this is something that's unconfirmed because we have not heard it officially from the town of Harrison, unfortunately, but Ron Lear was speaking with someone on the Harrison Board of Education this morning, and he was told that Councilman Francisco Nascimento has resigned from the Harrison Board of Education, and apparently on Friday, the Harrison Council swore in a new member of the council from somebody whom they chose. It all happened so fast, and we didn't even know about it. You would think we didn't know anybody in Harrison, even though we do. But we'll get more for you on that as soon as the information becomes available. But at any rate, it appears that Councilman Nascimento has resigned and or retired as he moves back to Portugal to live there full-time for an ailing family member. And there is a new member of the Harrison Town Council, whose name we will get for you as soon as we can. That's going to do it for this week's edition of The Observer. Oh, and before I go, Mish, the Find the Hearts thing is in the paper this week, right, Michelle? Yes. We have a contest this year to find the hearts, and of course, if you win, if you are the winner, you win a gift certificate. Check it out. The hearts are hidden throughout the paper in advertisements in this week's edition, so you want to take a look at that. And the entry form for it is on page number 6, so check that out as well. I should have told you that earlier, and I apologize that I didn't. But that's going to do it for tonight's edition. I want to thank each and every one of you for logging on and for joining me here tonight. Don't forget, as things happen this week, we will join you live if it does. We have a couple of stories already in the hopper for this week, including Senator Bob Menendez visiting Kearney High School today. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it, but we're going to have a recap of his visit to discuss funding for the American Rescue Plan for schools and a few other things that are going on as well. So we'll get that to you. Check out theobserver.com, which is back, by the way. It was out again for the third time in 2 months. We sincerely apologize for that, and don't worry, it's safe. We'll be okay. From the newsroom of The Observer and theobserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now. I hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. Good night.